Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Things are working well for you. You've been gritty. You're knocking those deadlines out. You're meeting those goals, and that all the stars are aligning for you. A little bit about the show today. It's going to be a really exciting time. We're going to be talking to an expert in her own right and a wonderful person to me personally. But before we get started, I do want to make some announcements. First things first, the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with Dr. India White, it will be featured on Spotify, on Apple, and it will also be featured on the main social media outlets, and it will be featured on the X Factor EDU network hosted by Dr. Matthew Joseph and the tribe. Thank you, Dr. Matthew, for the opportunity. Check out his platform when you get a chance. Check out all the great podcasts there. In addition, I do want to remind you about the Grit Mini Workshop that has come out on the Grassroots Workshop website. Check out Robert's platform there. Check out all of the different grassroots workshops. If you're an educator, administrator, and you're needing more grit, you're needing more answers, you can check that one out. It's called How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. In addition to that, I want to encourage you to follow me when you get a chance on social media. My Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube channel is India White 123, and TikTok is Dr. India White. Check out the website when you get a chance. I do have some new content on there as well. You can check out the blogs that are on there. Also, if you're wanting to schedule me, book an appointment for speaking or just for consultation, I am here for you. For those that have been traveling and going to different conferences, I want to remind you of some conferences I'm planning to see you guys at. I'll be at camps this year in Texas in July. In September, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at NCSM. I'll be a major speaker there. At NCTM, I'll be there speaking and encouraging you guys there. Also join me at ICTM in Iowa. I'll be one of the featured speakers there. In Ohio, I'll be at OCTM. I'll be a speaker there. At ATM&E, I'll be a featured speaker there. And there are more conferences to come. I'm already starting to get requests for the year 2025, and I appreciate that as well. For those that have already slotted me on, and if you're trying to wiggle me into your district or into your conference or organizational event, I would be honored to join you. So don't be a stranger no matter what you do. Now what I want to do is I do want to take a moment and bring on to this podcast a wonderful person who is a CEO, and she is also my mentor. That will be someone that has known me for more than half my life. And so before I bring her on, I just want to say you might have to get your tissues. You might have to just get ready for the inspiration because it's going to be amazing. So welcome, guys, with me. First time I've done this. I'm super excited to the Grit and Equity podcast. My mentor, Vicki Oldham. Hey, Vicki, I'm going to make room for her. She's here with me. How are you, Vicki?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I am doing great. It is so awesome to have you on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Why are you so quickly?
I don't know, because you're my mentor. It's kind of different.
Well, I met you at the YMCA as I was working out. I am a former TV journalist, and I was born and reared in Sarasota, Florida, and I loved my work. I transitioned into marketing and PR in higher education, and it's been a wonderful life. I now am the president and CEO of the Sarasota African American Cultural Coalition. I love African American history, and so I did some pioneering work to document the 100-year history of our African American community here.
That's awesome. So this is great, and I know you've had your stomping grounds in Sarasota County. You've done so much to just impact the world of education, and you've been gritty yourself. Can you maybe embark upon your journey and your role as not only a CEO, but like as a mentor, and like, I mean, you're already so busy. You've already accomplished so much. What inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to be a mentor and pay it forward, even though you had so much on your plate already? Like, What inspired you to do that?
I think that it had to be my grandmother, who was always involved with community activities. She was always raising money for a cause that she believed in, and she was helping people along the way. And so I thought about how I have been helped. I have had wonderful mentors. Floyd Roberts, the cosmetics icon, she passed away, but she was a mentor of mine. We'd have lunch every month when she would come to Sarasota during the winters, and I would ask her all sorts of questions, and she would give me all sorts of advice. But there have been people who helped to shape my professional career, and so it just means so much to me to be able to do that as they did it for me.
So, what about like those that are like, well, yeah, I've had a mentor, or whatnot, but I mean, I'm busy being a principal, I'm busy being an educator, I'm busy owning my own business. I don't know how to even get started in paying it forward. Is it really worth, taking that risk and paying it forward, especially to those that are at risk, homeless students, BIPOC community, whatnot? What advice do you have to them?
So it is totally worth it because I'm finding that, and I've always known this, it is not a one-way street that I am the one that's doing all the giving. The students and the young people that I have mentored, they're giving to me also. I am learning from them a lot that say I did not know about their age group or even their culture, and it makes me happy. It makes me have this sense of fulfillment. I mean, we're all busy doing great passion projects, but I found that there was always a hole in my heart when it came to helping others, and I wanted to fill that hole. And so mentoring does it for me, and I know it does because there's a certain way
Mhm.
that I feel when I meet students that I am supposed to spend more time with.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this makes me think about when we met, and I was a homeless student, guys, and I was doing community service at the YMCA, and so my job was to give clean towels folded up to the YMCA members that were working out. And so my mentor Vicky here was working out, and she was so pretty, and I just was like, oh my gosh, this is my first time really seeing a beautiful African American woman who looks like she has her stuff together, looks like she went to college, just working out. And so I remember some kind of interaction we had, and I
It
handed
was
her a
over
towel.
mascara,
It was mascara. So she had mascara, I had mascara.
but you had your eyelashes were so beautiful,
Oh,
and I thought, gosh, she's got beautiful eyes. I'm going to ask her about what kind of mascara she uses. It was as simple as that.
and then I remembered there was something in me, like a pull, that was like, you need to ask this woman about college. Because remember, guys, I was homeless, I had nothing. And so I remembered, I just, at a whim, I said, which college is better? U, UF or UCF? And I remember she never said, like, okay, it's this one. She just said, we'll look into it and see. Now, I did not think I would ever see her again. I just thought she was a pretty woman. It was just happenstance, like whatever, and that was it. And then the journey began, where I was notified by the YMCA shelter that there was a woman that wanted to see me. So I want Vicky to now talk to us about that process because she did not have to come back. So what was going on with you that said, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to mentor India. What was taking place there?
So what took place is that in that same conversation that we had, um, I asked you what you wanted to be after you graduated, and you said engineer. And I said, have you met any engineers? Do you know for sure? And you said no. And I said, well, let me connect you with an engineer so that you can connect and ask all sorts of questions to find out if you really, really want to be one. And so I intended to do just that. And so I remember distinctly, India, after I met you at the Y, I constantly thought about you. It was not, it was not an hour, it was not a moment, but it was all that evening, into the night, all night long.
Wow.
All I heard in my head was, her name is India White. Find out more about India White. So much so that I didn't really sleep well. I didn't really
Oh
sleep well
wow.
that night. I made it my business to go to the Y to find out more about India White because remember, I didn't know anything about you. All I knew was that you were there folding towels. We had a conversation. I wanted to hook you up with an engineer, and that was it. I
Yeah.
did not know that you were homeless. I did not know that you were living at the YMCA.
Yeah.
I knew nothing.
Wow. And it was so funny because like after they were like, well, there's this chick that wants to hang out, and I'm like, who is this chick? You know, like, and it was her, and I was like, oh, that's the pretty African American lady I saw. Okay, cool. And we were talking about the engineering, and I did want to be an engineer. However, props out to all you engineers. I did not have what it takes to pass physics, or maybe I didn't have the right teacher. I don't know. But long story short, I did try to take physics at UF, but I tried to take physics with calculus, which was a nightmare, and I was not cut out for the job. But long story short, I'm thankful because even when I met this engineer guy that Vicky had paired me with, it let me know that I did not have the passion for that job. You know, like I did not have the passion to sit and be an industrial engineer every day. Like the guy literally was like sitting in his office and he was talking about traffic stoplights. And he was the person that made sure that the lights, that when you're waiting at the stoplight, you're not wasting all this time. And like, like sometimes you're at like a crossroad and nobody's going and you're like, what's going on with the lights? Well, that's an industrial engineer's job. They're supposed to make sure that this is time efficient. And so this guy was doing all this boring math and this boring work, and it just didn't seem like it was cut out for me because I like people, I like interactions. So I mean, to me as a high schooler, I didn't see that it was cut out for me, but I was not able to get that revelation until I actually met somebody that was successfully in that vein. So I thank you, Vicky, for that. But then I want to talk about another part of Vicky's mentorship that was so imperative for me. Remember, I did not have representation. I did not have an adult African American female in my life that had, aspired to go to college, graduate college, and be someone successful. And so at the time, Vicky, you were a news anchor, right? You were.
I had my own TV show called Common Ground on the ABC affiliate. And we started, I went through the paperwork to become a mentor. I went through the criminal checks and all of that. And I remember when we first began interacting, India did not trust me. She had trust issues. She had major attitude, and I'm like, oh, this young woman, she's been hurt.
Yeah.
She's been hurt.
But the thing was, what she didn't know was she was actually inspiring me by her example, by her success. So I would see her, and this is the part I loved. Vicky was the one that really helped me with my enunciation and my diction and everything with my words. We would drive around, and she would be on her way to the show, and she would be talking very, very proper, enunciating every single syllable. And I remembered being like, she's really extra on this. But at the same time, she knew she had to go and speak to the masses. And she always dressed fabulous. She always just had it down to a science. And I just was like, when people hear me, I want them to also have that same type of respect that I had towards Vicky. And we even had some words that I didn't know how to say correctly. Do you remember that? So one time I went to, I think, Vicky's house, and I was like, I need to go bathe. And so I was like, yeah, I need to go bathe. And Vicky was like, India, bathe? She's like, no. Do you mean bathe? 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 And I was like, yeah, I need to bathe. And she's like, India, I don't ever want to hear you say that again. Don't ever say bays again. Because I mean, my entire life, I was 17 saying the word bays because that's all I knew. But Vicky was one that taught me how to say
I didn't.
words correct. Yes.
I didn't remember that. Were there
Yeah.
any others?
Um, I think that was the main one. Yeah, I think that was the main one. I don't think like saying the word ask. I think that was,
Eggs.
yeah. I don't know if I said ask when I was around you. I think I kind of worked on that with my friends. But I know for sure Bays was one that I was sold on.
And
Um,
where did you hear that word?
in my community, in my home, growing up, my family, we would all say we got to go Bays. It was like, it was a common thing. It wasn't
Okay.
no big deal. So, we understood. And then I think Amalams, but I don't think I really had
Ambulance.
a.
I still hear people say that
I don't.
for ambulance.
Yeah, because so anyway, um,
Ambulance.
but just having that representation is so imperative, and this is why if you are a school leader or a teacher and you can get people, role models like Vicky, to come into your classrooms, into your community, and to pay it forward and to join you as a mentor or in their role, whatever they're doing in their field, bringing them in to come speak to students. It's so powerful. It just does more than what we could do on our own, right? In our own efforts. And so, with that said, I want Vicky to now talk with you guys about the process because remember, I was at risk, I was homeless, I had nothing. But they told me that I could get scholarships, right? And so I began to start applying for scholarships, and I went on this journey. So I want Vicky to kind of talk to us about what that was like in your role in getting the scholarships, driving me. Because guess who drove me to those scholarship interviews? This one.
I did.
Yeah, every
I did.
single one, all 18 plus. Vicky drove me. No one else drove me to scholarship interviews except Vicky. I think Barbara's mom might have drove me to one.
Okay. Okay.
But for the most part, Vicky drove me. So can you talk to the community
Sure.
about what that was like?
Well, I asked you, India, I said, well, what college, where, what we're going to do about college. And you said, I don't have any money. How am I get to college? I don't
Right.
have any money to get to college with. I said, listen, with your math acumen, you can probably go to any college that you want to.
Yeah.
You just we need to start applying for scholarships, and so that is what we did. I believe you would get the scholarship applications, and I remember an image of you having all these applications spread out on the bed at your in your bedroom
At the shelter.
at the shelter, right? And you were like, right now, you were doing it, and I would review them and you would submit, and then you would get an invitation to come and interview. And I'm thinking, well, somebody's got to take you. If I suggested that you get scholarships, then somebody's got to take you to the scholarship interviews. And on the way to the scholarship interviews, we would practice. Okay, you will probably get a question like this. It'll go. We were anticipating what questions the scholarship committee was going to ask her, and she would. We were doing mock interviews, and I would, give her some pointers about how to go in there, looking very confident, not like, not like
Right.
you didn't know, not like you're
Yeah.
not supposed to be there, but you act like you are supposed to be there, and you are the recipient that they should choose.
That's right.
And so we did that, and so that worked out really, really well. But I do remember some pushback.
Oh, really?
I do remember some pushback on a scholarship that Cynthia Newell and I had identified as perfect for India. It was the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship, and we were so behind. I believe that scholarship was due
In
like
2 days.
in 2
Yeah.
days. So plan was to take India over to Cynthia's house, and we were going to work on this scholarship together because there were a lot of essay questions.
It was like 25-page
Oh
packet.
my God.
Yeah.
It was so
It
many.
was wild.
And she was sleepy. She did not want to fill out the application. Oh, we were like, oh, you're filling out this application today. You
Yeah.
might as well get yourself together. You can have all kind of bad attitudes you want to have, but this is going to benefit you. This
So
is
let me tell you
great.
why I was salty. Okay, I was salty because I had worked on 4 different community scholarships. I already had packaged in my brown manila envelopes, stamped off, and I needed to get those scholarships mailed off. But they only totaled about $4,000 total. I remember this. And I remember I was salty because they were like, you can't take those to the post office because we won't make it on time to finish the Bill Gates scholarship, the Gates Millennium Scholarship Program scholarship. So you're going to have to forfeit those 4 that you've been working on the last 2 weeks to get this Gates. And I didn't understand like the fiscal value of the Gates, that Gates writes an unlimited check and takes care of everything way more than $4,000, and that it lasts like your entire life, like as long as you continue to be a scholar. And so I remember being really salty because I was like, hold up, I have worked on these scholarships. And I remember they're like, we don't care. You're not taking them. And so I was bitter by that. And I remembered I was at Publix. I was working as a cashier. I had my uniform, I believe, because I was supposed to go to work. And I couldn't go to work because I had to work on the scholarship. So I was really upset. And I remember we were working on it and we were so tired, y'all. I literally was sleeping like straight up like this, like eyes closed and like a uniform on or whatever. And I was like dead sleep. But we pushed through. Like we were really gritty. It took everything. It took the whole village, and we just kept working on it.
Yes, we
So
did, and we submitted it. I believe that we had a problem getting it
yeah,
through
we
because
did.
everybody was trying to get the thing through at the
Yeah,
at
at the same
deadline,
time.
and the system was crashing.
Right.
We just kept moving until we could get it.
I remember that.
Ooh.
And and then even when I found out that, I was a recipient and received a scholarship, I was such I was so burned out because we talk about grit, but I had such an extreme level that I did not know how to balance it. And so when you're dealing with whether it's a first generation student or a student that has a lot of grit and they're really involved, also have that conversation with them about balance because I didn't have a lot of balance. Like I was working on scholarships from 2 to 4 in the morning. I was waking up at 6, getting 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches a day, coffee, and that was like all I had. And I was just working school. I had 13 clubs. I was working part time. It was a lot going on.
You were in 13 clubs?
Yeah, I was in 13 clubs. Yeah, and I was in like Nu Alpha Theta. I was in the Spanish club. I was in student government. I was in all the chorus, jazz band, marching band. I was in La Saratoga, something like that. There were like so many different clubs. It was
Why?
like 13.
Why
Why?
so many?
I think it was a good distraction for me, and it was a way for me to stay focused and not to get in trouble.
And
Remember
not think about
the
life.
trauma that I had that I was going through, and then also I remember, on your resume, like on your not even your resume, but like when you're sending off your credentials to the colleges, I wanted them to say, okay, she's had at least 4 clubs on there, so I wanted to stand out. So that it wasn't like, okay, I'm just like everybody else, 4 or 5 clubs. No, I wanted them to know, okay, well, she has 13 clubs, and then I was taking those 4 extra credits that I didn't need. So I already had the 28 credit mark, but I took 4 extra credits. So I graduated with 32 credits. So I technically could have been taking college courses or whatever, but I really wanted to master that package. As a student, my senior year, so that they knew I wasn't lazy and that I was gritty, and that I was an asset to the university. So, yeah, it was like it was 13 clubs. I remember that, and I was absolutely exhausted. But grit paid off. Here we are today, and so I want now Vicky to talk about the process of after we're getting the scholarships, and then we find out college decisions, and how do we decide the college, and then the process of even moving from the shelter straight to the dorm. Guess who drove me from the homeless shelter to the college dorm overnight? This one. So I want her to talk to us a little bit about that process, being a mentor, the grit she needed, and then the grit that she saw throughout this process.
Oh, yeah. So, understand that we had bonded in such a special way. We were going to concerts. I was going to
Yes,
concerts.
first person to go to any of my concerts. Yep.
Yeah, because she played the saxophone and with the orchestra, with the high school
Yeah.
orchestra.
Yeah.
And so I wanted her to see that she had support. Every kid needs to know that somebody is pushing them on to do better. So we bonded And we went through the prom. We
Yeah.
fixed her up for the prom and got her a date to go to the prom.
I did. I did. I had a date for the prom. It was so funny because I got all dolled up in white and, met Darren. Was it Darren? I think it was. And, it was a good time, but I would not have been afforded that opportunity. Being a homeless student, that was not, a priority. That wasn't something that, really kind of fell into my lap. So Vicky really organized that, orchestrated that really well for me.
It
Yeah.
was important to me that you got a chance to experience the entire high school
Yeah.
highlights so that you could have some memories.
Yeah.
So there was prom and then there was graduation. I remember we were so happy, we were so proud of graduation. Did we have a graduation party at
Did.
Kenny
Yeah, we
Soderblum's
did.
house on Longboat Key, which is a very, very exclusive island here in Sarasota? Kenny was a well-known saxophone player, and India had a saxophone that needed to be repaired, and so he was instrumental in getting it repaired, and so he bonded
Yes,
in
he
our
did.
little circle too.
And he actually gave me a saxophone to take to play at the University of Florida, which was really neat as well because I didn't have my own instrument. So he donated a saxophone so that I could play in the marching band. I remember that too, which is pretty sweet.
So so little by little, India started to get a tribe of posse of others who wanted to see her do well. It was not just me, but it was others who I knew.
Yeah,
We put this circle together. So graduation party, man, we had such a wonderful time.
it was nice. It was like graduation / birthday because I was like turning 18 too. Remember that? So I
Yeah.
remember that. But I think the thrill of it all, like really, it seems like my journey with Vicky has been. It seems to just keep getting better and better and better, like more like
Richer?
just like all of these priceless moments. So like
Yeah.
driving to the shelter and then or to the college dorm,
Oh, that was hard.
that journey, and then unpacking, and then me realizing I'm no longer a ward of the state. Like I'm an individual. I'm a Gator. I'm a UF. Like and then it hit us. We were like sitting on the bed, unpacking, and just talk with them about that, Vicky, for a minute.
Oh man, it was sad. It was like I was a parent, not a mentor, and I had to part with this young woman that I had spent about a year and a half with, and I'm feeling chills as I think about it right now. That was quite a moment because you know I think I poured into her, but you don't know what you've poured into them until you let them go, and now you gotta let them go and make mistakes and find out about life and put lessons into operation or not. Um, that moment, I had to, as every parent does, I had to learn how to let the little bird fly. I remember talking to Lynn Andrews, who was his wife, because I wanted India to call more often, to have conversations like we had been having, and she had no time for me.
Hey, I was a Gator. I was in the Gator band, so it was we were really busy, so I didn't have time to follow up. I was being a freshman. I was a Gator. Hey,
Yeah. And I had to talk with this mother, and she told me some valuable advice. She said, "You've got to let her go, and she'll come back to you. She'll come back. Just let her go and find her identity on that college campus." And it was the hardest thing that I did, but I did it.
and it paid off. She was there at graduation, and how did that make you feel as a mentor? Like this has paid off. And the thing is, I will say that I wanted to be a Vicky. Like so, I didn't. This is why we need representation because she was like what I was aspiring to become, right? Some type of skeletal version of her, and So in my mind, when I was in college, I already was driven. I was already decided I'm going to succeed. I'm going to graduate. And this is not a question of if, it's a question of when. Like I was already, I was convinced because she already did it. And see, Vicky also is a Gator, even though she also went to FSU. We forgive her for that. But she is a Gator as well. And so she already lived out the example. And I already knew that because she had a degree from the University of Florida. I too can obtain a degree. So, talk to us about like just when you saw like, okay, she's graduated, my work is done. Was it like, okay, my work's done, or like, do I look for the next student? Like, what was going on with you?
No, I think as a mentor, if you're doing it right, you're always going to have that relationship with that student that you mentor. Now the relationship will change because if you realize, you were a student and I was a mentor, but I had to let you go. And then in the letting you go, okay, now you graduated. I am super proud. Now you're off on your own and you're making decisions. She's not asking me about what to do all the time anymore. She's making her own decisions. She's made some decisions that she told me nothing about. But those were her decisions. But it's all a part of letting the person grow up. But I believe I can say with confidence that yeah, it's sort of kind of mentor now, but it's more friendship now. It's more friendship, and believe it or not, this mentee tries to tell me what I should be doing at this point in my life. And guess what? I am still I am still open to learn because she's doing some things that I need to learn.
Well, I think it's a give and take. I think what's happened now is, yeah, I've gone from that 17-year-old girl that was clueless to now both of us have kind of, been leading the path. Like she's doing a lot with, Newtown Alive and, the
Historic
African
preservation,
American,
yeah.
yeah, African American preservation. And she's building a whole community center, giving back that way. Yeah, she's still mentoring others as well. And then, of course, there have been certain areas that I've been able to, I guess, pay it forward in her life because, like, my thing is I'm a giver too, and a lot of students that you'll mentor, they also will have giving love languages where they want to pay it back. They want to show you how grateful they are, and so I felt that way. And sometimes it's like, well, what can I give her? She's already accomplished. What can I do in return? So, like, I try to do little things, whether it's like, you know, like I know how to cook certain things. She might not know exactly that recipe, but
Collard
I
greens.
like so I can give back that way. Um,
Oh yeah, and
you know.
there's so many ways that you do India. It's beautiful. Now I was not satisfied with just mentoring you. She has moved away, and we are in touch. But she's really busy, and I'm really busy. My heart has always been in this mentoring arena. So I've mentored others that came behind her. And ooh, this is a really important lesson that I've learned. There's not going to be, they're all different.
Yeah.
The mentees are all different. I could not expect my other young students to
Yeah.
be just like you. And I made that mistake. They have their own personalities. They have their own
Levels of
strengths
grit,
and
their own. Yeah.
weaknesses.
Wow.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness. And but the thing I love too is that, like, and she also introduced me to others that can mentor me to pick up, the baton.
That I could
And that she, yeah, like, so,
give
like,
you.
God bless Dr. Clyburn, but he was a mentor to me that helped me with my, crossing over with my dissertation and finishing at the University of Florida Strong. But we met at a whim at an event where Vicky was speaking, and here we go. He paid it forward, and it was a wonderful mentor in my life. And so I had mentors, and so with that same type of mindset, I had to accept that Vicky, she is not God Almighty. She's fabulous, but there are certain things that others can do for us too. So I think that the whole mentoring message is to just remain open minded, enjoy what people bring to the table, but then also understand that there are others that will come along that can do other things and mentor in
Yeah,
other capacities. You know
I
what I
will
mean?
tell you that you found your little mentor at the University of Florida. Some lady at the University of Florida. At first, I was a little jealous.
Oh, really?
I must say, I was a little jealous, but I had to get that jealousy in check because
Oh,
I understood I'm not a mathematician. This lady can give you way more than I could ever in the math arena. And there are certain phases that we go through. There's a phase at which you needed Sharon, and
Mama Sharon, yes,
and then there's a phase at which you needed me,
yep,
and then others
yeah.
kept you kept getting
And I
mentors.
just think it's just been a beautiful process because like even as we are like we have evolved and we're I do the whole thing about grit. I've done the TED talk, things like that. um, Vicky is now seeing and enjoying some of the even the work that I've been able to do on grit, and
Yeah.
it's starting to now pour into what she's doing in her career. So it's like there's so much give and take on this, y'all, that I just can't say enough the benefits that you get from becoming a mentor or allowing others to mentor you. And I think that more than anything, Vicky's like family. Like it's
It's
just
family
so.
now.
I mean, we've spent so many holidays together. I mean, from the time that I was a freshman and I didn't have anywhere to stay, because UF kicks everybody off campus, like they do, right? But Vicky always had her home opened, so did Mama Sharon, but Vicky too. And I mean, it was priceless to where now, I can invite her to my house, and she can hang out with my babies. And now she's like mentoring, well, she's like the godmom of my kids, but at the same time, she's like mentoring my kids now. So, see, it's such full circle.
I know. And she tells me what I should be doing on the dating scene because I don't even, I've been really busy and I don't know what to do sometimes. And she's like, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that." It's really, really funny.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think it's beautiful. And I thank God for you. And I just want the world to know that God used you as a pivotal part of my success and still is. We have a lot more work to do,
Yeah.
as long as, God Almighty keeps us here. There's a lot more that we'll do together. But I just want to honor her on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast and let you guys know that you have the opportunity to pay it forward. And so find out who your mentee will be, do some introspection, get quiet, and know that it's worth it because as a mentor, you can cultivate the grit in a young person and they can surpass all of the goals that you would even expect them to and beyond. So, with that said, Vicki, is there any last bit of advice that you want to give to our listeners?
I just want to say I love this grit theme. I know that it was a part of your PhD, and yeah, it's so necessary to have that extra push, that extra.
Bulldog tenacity.
Okay, I'll take that. That's it.
So, thank you so much. Is there where can we reach you if people are wanting to communicate with you afterwards, if they're wanting support with mentoring, or if they want you to come and share your story as a mentor? How can they reach you?
Okay, my email address is Newtown Alive SRQ at gmail.com. Newtown Alive, all one word. Newtown Alive SRQ at gmail.com. Should I give a telephone number?
Um,
No.
One that you feel comfortable with, because this will be seen by hundreds, thousands.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll.
Do you have a business phone or like a Twitter or
Well,
Facebook?
I'm on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I can be inboxed on Vicky Oldham.
Okay.
Vicky Oldham. Now, this is that thing that I'm learning. I've had big staffs who took over social media where I did not have to do anything. They knew what to post or whatnot. I am running a startup nonprofit, and I do not have that big staff, and so I only have time to update
Yeah.
Facebook that automatically updates Instagram. Do I have a YouTube page? I want one.
I can help her with that.
Do I? Do I have
I can help you.
the TikTok? I want one.
We gotta get. See, this is why you need mentees, mentors. So this is our next project: is getting Vicky more exposure on social media. So follow us closely, and you'll hear more about the updates. So with that said, Vicky, thank you so much for being amazing. We love you.
I love
You're
you too.
amazing. And to you guys, thanks so much for watching and being a part of the Grit and Equity Talks podcast today with yours truly, Dr. India White. Again, you can reach me on social media. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. My LinkedIn is The India White. Facebook is Miss India White. The Twitter is, I already said it was Indie Speak and Teach. You've got TikTok is Dr. India White. You can also check it out on YouTube, India White 123. Check out the website, www.india-white.com. And we will definitely stay connected. If you're wanting more information from Vicki, you can also inbox me as well if you're wanting to talk with her. But like I said, guys, watch out for this Grit and Equity Talks podcast. It will also be featured on Spotify and hosted on the X Factor EDU network by Dr. Matthew Joseph. And so, with that said, this has been a wonderful episode. Go out and mentor someone. And until next time, stay gritty. See you guys.